Lori McBride has been attacking me like crazy. She's been dropping bombs over me, and I have been like waking up every couple hours with a stuffy nose from she's using like biological warfare. And anyway, she is not down, and I'm concerned about Donald Trump because some of his decisions lately don't seem to be too good. So I've written some new conspiracy law. Donald Trump is required to get prior approval for all presidential decisions from the Gail Committee. This is going to be an addition to my Conspiracy Laws and Government Part 4, Section 11. The American people voted for me, Gail, as U.S. President on November 8, 2016. I told the people that if they voted for Donald Trump, they voted for me. I have pretty much delegated my U.S. President job to Donald Trump, who's done a great job until now, April 8, 2018. I want to remind my followers that I instituted Vladimir Putin as the leader of the U.S. military on October 15, 2016. See Section 3 of International Military Law. I'll have a link to that underneath this video, as well as a link to this law. Donald Trump's rhetoric against Russia gets louder and more dangerous every day. Vladimir Putin's our ally in our war against the Lori McBride Jesuits. I've been very lenient with Trump about this, but after reading his tweet, have decided to override Trump now in this matter. Here's what he said. Many dead, including women and children, in mindless chemical attack in Syria. Area of atrocity is in lockdown and encircled by Syrian army, making it completely inaccessible to outside world. President Putin, Russia, and Iran are responsible for backing Animal Assad. Big price. Donald Trump should know that this is a false flag attack orchestrated by the deep state under the leadership of Lori McBride and George Soros. While it's possible this is a fake tweet from Trump, it seems to be a new trend with Trump to go after Putin over things Putin's innocent of. Trump should know this. Another false flag was the Skripal poisoning in England. Trump seems to be playing the deep state's game to have a war between Russia and the U.S. that nobody except the Lori McBride Jesuits need. This is of grave concern to me as U.S. President, and I question Trump's judgment in his policies with Russia, Syria, and some of his statements over deep state activities where he should be exposing these as false flags rather than caving in to the Lori McBride, George Soros narrative. As of April 8, 2018, Donald Trump cannot make any decisions as a head of state without getting prior approval from the Gail Committee. The Gail Committee consists of the real Brent Spiner, not his clone or copies, the real Vladimir Putin, not his clone or copies, the real Matthew McConaughey, not his clone or copies, the real Hugh Jackman, not his clone or copies, the real Gerard Butler, not his clone or copies, the real Judge Terrence Jenkins, not his clone or copies, the real Jesuit leader Zach Knight, not his clone or copies, the real Jesuit military leader Rule 13, not her clone or copies, the real Jesus Christ, if he cares to weigh in. If Jesus Christ weighs in, his decisions will be final. All persons in the Gail Committee have full permission to do research and to confer with others who support Gail, that's me, and her conspiracy law before making any decision. The Gail Committee's approval for any decisions made by Trump must be in writing, and each person of the Gail Committee must attach their willing and knowing signature on it for approval. This signature will be in the form of a genetic stamp on a scanner that records the genetics of the person approving, ensuring us that the real person and not a fraud has made the approval and that the approval was made willingly and knowingly. If Jesus Christ has made the decision, his approval will be signified by all persons in the Gail Committee writing a statement about what Jesus approves of, and then all assenting under 666 computer lie detection and emotion reads that this is what the real Jesus approves of. If anyone fails 666 computer lie detection and emotion reads regarding a Jesus Christ decision that has been approved of, an investigation must be made to determine why they failed the read. If it's determined that it's possible that a fake Jesus and not the real Jesus was involved in the decision, then the decision needs to be recast and redone and made according to the desires of the entire Gail Committee, and then all must approve of the decision with their genetic stamp. If by chance not all members of the Gail Committee can come to an agreement, then it will be majority rule, and as long as there's a majority, the majority decision must stand. If there's a tie, Vladimir Putin will make the final decision. If Vladimir is not available, then Brent Spiner will make the final decision to break the tie. Next would be Zach Knight. Next would be Rule 13. Next would be Gerard Butler. Next would be Matthew McConaughey. Next would be Judge Terrence Jenkins. Next would be Hugh Jackman. In all cases, if Jesus Christ weighs in and it's determined it's the real Jesus doing so, Jesus Christ's decision must be final. Because not all these people may be available or unqualified due to brain control or something that makes them not a willing and knowing approver. When a decision needs to be made, or because a decision may need to be made fast, in that instance, Vladimir Putin has the most pull over any decisions that need to be made and can act on his own and then have his decision ratified by the rest at a later date. If they decide not to ratify his decision for whatever reason, then that decision needs to be re-evaluated if possible, and amendments to the decision need to be made that honor the wishes of all in the Gail Committee. Due to Vladimir's love for me, he has developed a love for the American people, even though he may not respect many of our incompetent, deep state-led institutions. If Vladimir is not available for an emergency decision, then Zach Knight can make the decision. Next would be Rule 13. Next would be Brent Spiner. Next would be Matthew McConaughey. Next would be Gerard Butler. Next would be Judge Terrence Jenkins. Next would be Hugh Jackman. Of course, I, Gail, can override any of these people whenever I wish to, and will let the public know in writing and with a video when this happens. And of course, I am referring to the real persons and not their clones. I'm going to add that in. Regardless of who makes the decision, with the exception of me, because I'm the U.S. President, it must be later ratified by the rest of the Gail Committee at a later date, and if not ratified, must be re-evaluated and redone to honor the wishes of all in the Gail Committee. Once a decision has been ratified and approved of, according to the Section 11 of this document, it must be carried out exactly as written, and anybody who willingly and knowingly neglects to carry it out exactly as written without due cause for their change must be investigated as a possible Laurie McBride Jesuit. Due cause is defined as cause that supports conspiracy law and that does not support Laurie McBride Jesuits in their goal for a world takeover. If those who did not carry out a presidential decision as written and approved by the Gail Committee as outlined in this document are guilty of being a willing and knowing Laurie McBride Jesuit, they will be executed publicly on the Gabriel Chana Fox News channel as a Laurie McBride Jesuit and a traitor to the United States. If they did not carry it out exactly as written for other reasons, their punishment will be decided upon by the Gail Committee or by conspiracy law, that is, if the disobedience is covered by another conspiracy law document. Donald Trump's decisions have been excellent for the most part, and it's clearly possible that the Gail Committee will merely read his decisions and then just give their assent to the decision, or they may make minor modifications. The purpose for this Section 11 is to override any presidential decisions from Trump that seem to clearly and only serve the interests of the Laurie McBride, George Soros deep state. If Donald Trump or anybody under his command willingly and knowingly violates a decision made by the Gail Committee without due cause, he and all his guilty party will be exposed as traitors to Empress Gail on the Gabriel Chana Fox News channel, and his violation will be exposed publicly. The Gail Committee will decide on an appropriate punishment for him and his band of traitors, educating the public about the nature of his disobedience and the consequences of this disobedience. As a reminder, all news organizations must get prior approval before reporting on Donald Trump or the activities of the Gail Committee. See Section 17 to 22 of International Laws for Clones. I'll have a link for that underneath this video. Finally, any willing and knowing attempt or action by any party to influence or extort the Gail Committee in part or in whole, or Donald Trump and or his associates, to cause them to violate conspiracy law and to promote the evil Laurie McBride Jesuits will bring the death penalty as a Jesuit conspirator to that violator. Okay, these are my latest laws. Like I said, I've been lenient with Trump, but his rhetoric against Russia is just getting out of hand, and He's only serving the interests of the deep state. I'm wondering if perhaps Laurie and McBride Jesuits have threatened to kill his wife, and that's why he's doing this. That's how they got cooperation from George W. Bush to threaten Vladimir Putin with war if Vladimir Putin wouldn't marry Ludmila Putin. So whatever it is, his stand against Russia is not good for the world and for the United States, and it's not good for freedom lovers. It's a war that only the evil deep state needs. It only serves their interests. It would be a needless war. I fully agree with his decision to pull the troops out of Syria. First of all, I don't even think there's been a war there anyway. I think the whole thing's been made up. And unless the Gail Committee votes against this, I think we should remove all sanctions against Russia. That's my decision. I will allow the Gail Committee to come to a vote on this. There may be a reason why they're allowing Trump to do this. I don't know. Maybe it's some sort of fake news game. But I personally would like to see all the sanctions against Russia removed. And I think we should remove our troops from Syria. I don't think they need to be there. It's none of our business. And yeah, we need to move back. We need to withdraw from Syria. Okay? Trump, you need to cool it with Vladimir Putin, okay? You're doing exactly what the deep state wants. And I don't know why you're doing this, but you need to cool it, okay? Anyways, I've written some law to deal with this. So Vladimir Putin is not our enemy. He's our ally. And Russia and the United States need to be in an alliance. They don't need to be fighting each other. The only people that it helps when Russia and the U.S. are fighting each other are the evil deep state. That's George Soros and Laurie McBride. I'm not going to play this game. And Trump, neither are you. Okay? You've gone too far. If you got to fire Bolton, well, we'll just ignore John Bolton, okay? I don't like some of his hawkish moves anyway. So here's my new law. And reminder, Vladimir Putin's in charge of the U.S. military. I made law to that effect. I want that law enforced.